Hello, wonderfuls. I'm going to talk to you today about the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are referred to in the Bible as a history of everything that has been and everything that will be. They've also been referred to as the Book of Life. Now, Akashic Records aren't actually books, but the way I like to think of it is almost like a library, but it's an energetic frequency. There's no actual books. I'm trained in two different ways of reading the Akashic Records. And I explain that as two different doors to the library. So if you go in one door, you'll have access to certain texts, and if you go in the other door, you'll have access to other texts. In the first way that I do Akashic Records, in which I am an advanced Akashic Record reader, and continue to study, so I'm getting more and more certifications in that each month. That way is wonderful for basic questions. So deep things like, what is my soul's purpose? Or why did I choose the family that I chose? Are wonderful to ask in that. For that kind of Akashic Record reading, you would sit right next to me and there's lots of back and forth. So you ask questions and I ask, who are basically the librarians of the records. And they give answers. One thing to understand about that frequency and the vibrations that work there is that they are ever loving and very understanding, but they also are not fluffy and light. So I like to explain them. I like to explain to people that they're kind of like that really strict no-nonsense teacher. You know that person wants the best for you. They're really good at what they do. So they do it in a loving way, and they'll tell you like it is. Okay, there's not going to be a lot of like coddling in the Akashic Records. It will be kind and said with love and very direct. That can throw people off guard sometimes because it's not commonly the way we talk, especially here in Minnesota, right? Where we add so much Minnesota nice and passive aggressiveness to so many things that we say. The other way that I do Akashic readings, I usually refer to that as a past life reading, and that is very different. I access the records in a similar way to what I do in the other one, and I envision your book being brought down to me. Again, there's no actual book. I just envision it. And as it gets brought down to me, I can tell you about your book. And then we ask a guiding question. So the guiding question can be like, what are my gifts in this life? Or show me what I need to see for my greatest and highest good. Or why do I struggle so much with my mother-in-law? Or, why does my back always hurt? Or why does it bother me so much to wear scarves? Whatever you want it to be. And then, sorry, Piper likes to be very vocal. We'll go into the records and I get placed into a life. When I'm in that life, it's like I get put inside of your body. So I'll need a couple of minutes to adjust and to acclimate to that energy. At first, I actually feel really dizzy, which is odd. Once I get adjusted to the energy, I feel like it's happening to me. And so I can feel sensations in my body as they're happening. Usually it starts in infancy. Sometimes it's toddlerhood. And they show us like a scene or two. And that frequently is to just show you, like, were you cared for? Did you learn about secure attachments? Because we all know that those attachments that we learn in infancy and early toddlerhood have a huge impact in how we relate to other people as we grow up. So they show us a scene there, and then it's almost like it fast forward. When it fast forwards, they then show me another scene or two. Usually in the next scene, you're a child or early teen, then it fast forwards again, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes they show us all the way to your death. Sometimes they don't. It's not uncommon for them to say, and the death wasn't relevant to your question, so that's all you need to know about that. Which feels a little odd and can feel a little abrupt. But we need to understand that we don't need to know all the things right now. And if it doesn't relate to your question, maybe it was a traumatic death that you just don't need to know about because you already healed it. Or maybe you were just surrounded by loved ones and it was a very peaceful death. Sometimes they'll give us that general information instead of just saying it outright. Now, while I'm in the life, I'm working as a channel. So that means I can't answer any questions. And you'll notice my cadence change and some of the words that I say change. And yeah, if I answer any questions, it's like it's broken, that connection. But at the end, there is that opportunity. So at the end of that life, I'm able to say, do you have any questions about that life? And that's the perfect time to ask questions. Maybe something was confusing, or frequently someone feels familiar to you. And you can ask like, oh, was the mother in that life my spouse in this current life? Because when I described the mother, you thought of your spouse. And they'll give us answers to those questions. The other cool thing about it is we can access gifts from other lives. So if in a past life you were a healer, we can more easily access those gifts, so you can kind of integrate it into your current life. Now, when we access the gifts, it isn't like, oh, all of a sudden you're going to be a surgeon, right? That's not how this works. It's more like you gain some more of those skills. You open yourself up to that possibility. You would still, of course, need to study and learn things to actually be the surgeon, for example, that you were in the past life. I get so many questions about my past life readings and my Akashic record readings that I thought this would be a great way to just give the information out to everyone all at the same time. It is really cool, exciting work. It's different than the way a lot of people do past lives. So I have seen other people do past lives where they go into the Akashic records, like the first way I described, and they just peek into past lives. So they can tell you like blips from the past lives. I know of plenty of other people who do it through hypnosis. So that's called past life regression. And they actually walk you through the hypnosis portion of it, and then you talk through the life. Some people have wonderful success with that. Some people don't. It really is a personal preference. I do not do any hypnosis at this time. So that's not a way that I access the records. The other thing people ask is, can they record the sessions? The answer is absolutely. If you want to record your past life session, you're welcome to. I do say if you do the past life reading, that you should only do one every 6 months or so, just because different things come up. You may listen to it over and over and over again and find different learnings each time you listen to it. So I wouldn't do a reading for you every week. I would tell you that, that's not super ethical or really the reason for it. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. You can also schedule with me at TwinCitiesReikiMaster.com.